viewers, my name's Kara. I'm your host for Tuesdays on the Pagan Perspective, and this week we are talking about elements. I want to apologize, this video is probably going to be a bit late because I'm recording it late. I got totally distracted this morning and forgot to do it until now. And last night I was going to do it, but I was literally falling asleep. I was so tired. So right now I'm going to do it as quick as I possibly can and edit it and upload it. Hopefully I'll at least be able to start it uploading before I go to work later today, the theater workshop that I'm doing. I'm going to go through it as quick as I can. This week's topic is from someone who is fairly new to Wicca, paganism in general, I think. About 1.5 years, maybe 2 years of study by now, because I don't know exactly when they asked this question. But I know I've messaged back and forth with this person before, and they really are in the very basics. And so I want to explain real quick. Rich mentioned in his video that there was some more that I had said to the group. So I just want to explain what happened was this person asked us 5 questions about the elements, but the first 3 are really just basic, straight information that literally you type it into Google and you'll get that answer, and I don't think that that is the type of thing that the collab is really meant for. When Kyle and I started it in 2009, the focus was to get a bunch of different people from different backgrounds and different views, different ways of doing the same thing, and get each of our individual perspective or our opinion on it. When you ask a question that is just simply something like, what are the elements? Every one of us is going to have the same exact answer because that's just kind of a concrete thing. You know, we could tell you these are the 5 elements in the Western system, these are the 5 elements in the Japanese system, Chinese system, whatever different systems there are, but it's pretty much a set answer. Whereas the latter 2 questions that they asked are getting more at our perspective, our opinion on the thing. So what I did is I wrote this person back and I told them, you know, if you want to know where the idea of the 4 or 5 elements comes from, Google 4 elements, 5 elements, or classical elements, Japanese elements, Chinese elements, to get all those different types of things. But generally, if you look up classical elements, you'll find many links to all the different forms, and that kind of gets you going. Some people are unsure whether they can trust information on the internet, and so they have asked us before, you know, I've looked up this basic thing and I found this website, but I'm not sure if I can trust what the website says. Do you agree with what's on the website? That's something that we can answer, and I think that a lot of the information you find online is good because by now there are enough knowledgeable people to correct those things or to put it out there. But that's always good, is to ask if we agree with certain things or not. But the 3 basic questions that they asked are literally just look it up and find the information. Sometimes we get questions on here that none of us have any idea what it's about, and so it's okay, I think, to spend a couple hours researching it because then we're learning something entirely new. But as far as something like, what is this basic information, we're all going to have the same answer because it's a set thing. That's not really getting at our individual perspective. So the 2 questions that we are answering are going to be in the description, of course, but when one finds out what element, they put that in quotes, what element they wish to be working with, what would you suggest that one do? And are you now or have you worked with a particular element? If so, which one and how did you work with it? And then they went on to say some more stuff about, you know, after they spoke with people via the internet, some people told them that they could manifest or incorporate an aspect of an element into themselves, such as looking up what the zodiac signs are that go with it, characteristics that go with that zodiac sign and that element, such as Earth being related to patience. So if you wanted to be more patient with someone, you could write down, I will be more patient with X, put it into a jar or something small that would fit in your pocket and fill it with earth or salt or sand or whatever represents that element. Carry that around as a reminder of the spell that you are trying to become more patient with someone. That is a great example. So this person asked us these questions and then did some more research and added that to their question. When you find out what element you want to be working with, what do you suggest that you do? So as I said, there are different versions, there are different systems of elements in different cultures and different people, and some people don't work with the elements at all. The system that I use is the classical elements, Western interpretation of it, I suppose, earth, air, fire, water, and then spirit. So you'd have to figure out which system you want to follow and which one you're working with at the time. But so, for example, using mine, earth, air, fire, or water, once I figure out which element I want to work with, how do I go about doing that? For me personally, my goal is to become connected with or familiar with all of the elements to a pretty equal extent. I've always had more connection with fire, being a Leo, and no, not everyone's element really does go along with their zodiac sign and what element goes with that. Some people feel totally different from their zodiac sign, but I personally have always felt very connected to mine. So I've always known where my fire personality aspects came from. I attributed it to that. I've always felt very connected to fire. And then I started noticing other things about my personality were very much air, and I was like, where is this coming from? And even like in palmistry, the shape of your hand, I always thought that my hand was more of an air hand, and I was like, that's weird because I'm fire. This was before I really had this concept of, no, I'm all of them. I'm all of them at once. But so I wondered where this air influence was coming from for me, and then years later I finally looked at my entire birth chart and I realized that my moon sign is actually an air sign, so that explained that for me. A couple years ago I felt inexplicably drawn to water. I have never been a water person, but yeah, 2012 I started doing more of my practice and I just felt inexplicably drawn to water, and I wanted to do all of my rituals down at the beach, at the lake that was nearby my house. So at that point I decided I want to work more with water, and what I did was I literally and figuratively immersed myself in water. I went to bodies of water, took off my shoes and socks and walked around in it. I waded in lakes and rivers and splashed around in streams and ponds and physically connected with it. I also developed a pretty good relationship with a willow tree. Willow is a very watery tree, or wood, if you will. So I connected a little bit more with the water element by connecting to a plant that is very associated with water and lives near the water, things like that. And then so that connection was very easy for me, so what it's come up to is that I want to connect more with Earth because I feel like that's the one where I'm the most lacking. And so when I feel like I want to connect with Earth, I do the same thing. I physically connect to the element. I might go dig in the garden and physically dig in the dirt, bury my feet in the sand at the beach. Mostly gardening. I mostly connect with Earth by gardening because that's what says Earth to me, but there are many different ways to do it. Oh, that kind of answered the other question. Are you now or have you worked with a particular element? If so, which one and how did you? I've never really extensively worked with just one element for a long period of time because, like I said, my goal is to kind of incorporate all of them. So mostly just what I've done is I've looked at my life, looked at my choices, and seen where I feel, okay, I'm really good at connecting with these, but I have a little bit more work to do over on these. And then yeah, that's how I do it. I've also tried to connect more to the elements or learn more about the elements and those elements within myself by learning more about crystals and herbs and other things of that nature, oils and scents and things like that, and learning what planets and elements they are associated with, because that's kind of how I learn, is connecting various different things together. So if I have a lot of 5 different herbs, and then I look up, okay, this herb is associated with fire, I'll put it on my fire element altar, and this one is associated with water, like willow, I'll put a willow branch at my water altar. So I connect to the elements through the physical things that I can work with, like the herbs, like the crystals, or symbols. I really like the graphic representations of the 4 elements, which are the triangles, the upward triangle, downward triangle, and then upward and downward with the line across it for air and earth. I have always really liked those symbols, and it was just last year that I really started embracing the hexagram as a symbol of spirit or all of the elements together, because before I was always like, that's a symbol of a different thing, but it's really not. So I've really gotten more into that. So I like visual representations, I like working with things physically. This may have to do with the whole visual, auditory, or kinetic-based learner thing. It might be different for you depending on what you're into, what usually helps you, but that's how I do it. And as far as spells go, I think the example given was great. If you want to do a spell that there's an element that goes with it, use that element in the spell. I want to be more patient with this person. Patience to me has to do with the earth element, so I'm going to put earth with that spell and actually carry it around with me. If it's a water spell, if it's something about an emotion, I might charge some holy water with my intent, or write it on a slip of paper and put the slip of paper in the water. Charge a stone with my intent and throw it into a lake, something like that. Fire, obviously I would burn things. I do a lot of petition magic with the elements, and I'm supposed to do a video on that on my personal channel, which I keep forgetting about, but it's on my list. It's on my list. Which reminds me of another video that I'm going to do, which is why I got distracted earlier. I was planning another video. Ridiculous. I'm sorry. So this is probably longer than it needed to be. I'm really sorry, but I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to try and edit this as fast as I can. To the questioner, I hope this helps you out, and like I said, really the other questions that you asked, I know I messaged you about this before. If you look up the classical elements, you'll probably find all the answers to those questions. And then from there, once you know the basic stuff, if you have any more, this goes for all of you, if you have any questions about what we think about certain things, that's more the kind of thing that I like to give the team. I don't like to give them straight up like, who are all of the deities of this pantheon and what are their symbols? You can Google that. You can Bing it if you really want to. I'm a Google person. But how do you personally work with these elements, or what is your personal view of the elements, or what system of elements do you personally employ in your practice? That's perfect. That's right up our alley. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you guys next week, and I will try to do it ahead of time so it's not as late. I'm so sorry. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Until then, blessed be, don't forget to be awesome, and goodbye.